Shocking. I drove 10 hours for Thanksgiving, but my daughter says, you're not invited. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a fiery orange hue across the horizon, as Michael gripped the steering wheel of his old pickup. He had been driving for hours, fueled by excitement and the sense of turkey and stuffing that danced in his mind. 10 long hours, just to spend Thanksgiving with his daughter. A smile crept onto his face as he envisioned the laughter, the shared memories. But his heart thudded with an inexplicable dread, an odd twist of fate lurking just around the bend. What could possibly go wrong? The house seemed so inviting from the outside, adorned with twinkling lights and wreaths hanging from the door. But the front porch creaked ominously as he stepped out. A strange chill swept through him, tightening his chest, a sense that he was stepping into a different world, a world that didn't want him. He knocked on the door, his knuckles rapping against the wood, echoes bouncing back like eerie whispers in the wind. When the door opened, he was met not with warm hugs and smiles, but with a face he couldn't recognize. A hollow-eyed woman stood there, her expression a mix of confusion and something darker. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling as if she was speaking a truth she wished to deny. I'm Michael. I'm here for." His words caught in his throat, a lump forming, as if the very air thickened with suspense. Then, his daughter appeared in the doorway behind her, her eyes wide, glinting with something unyielding. "Dad, you shouldn't have come," she said, her tone cold as ice, cutting through the air. The world around him dimmed. What had happened? Why wasn't he welcome? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. His mind raced with questions. What did she mean? He felt a tremor in his hands, the cold seeping into his bones, as he struggled to wrap his head around the situation. The laughter he'd imagined seemed like a distant memory now, replaced by palpable tension. What dark secret had unfolded to lead to this moment? Had he failed her? Did he even know her at all anymore? As shadows deepened around him, sudden murmurs emerged from the edges of the porch. Curious neighbors had begun to gather, glancing with questioning eyes filled with warning. What had he walked into? Each gaze pierced through him, each head shake a subtle judgment he couldn't bear. But the mystery of his daughter's icy reception bore down harder, tightening like a vice around his heart. What lay beneath the surface of their fractured relationship? With one final look, his daughter turned and closed the door, the sound resonating like a gunshot, echoing through the silence. All he could think of was the chasm that had formed between them, a chasm he had no idea how to cross. And as the darkness swallowed him whole, he stood there on that porch, wondering if he could ever find his way back again. Michael stood frozen, a gust of wind brushing against his cheeks, sending shivers down his spine. The world around him had shifted from welcoming to hostile in an instant. The laughter he had envisioned now felt like a cruel joke, an illusion. He turned his eyes to the neighbors, who had huddled together, casting sidelong glances filled with concern, maybe even pity. Their whispers floated through the evening air, a murmur he both wanted to hear and feared uncovering. What happened? He muttered to himself, his voice almost lost among the rustling leaves. He took a step back, the creak of the porch beneath him resonating with his growing sense of dread. Why hadn't he called ahead? But then something deep inside urged him to stay. He had come so far to see her. He turned away from the door, the chilly air wrapping around him like a shroud. With every step he took down the path, his heart sank further. A part of him wanted to scream, to demand answers, while another silently pleaded for understanding. He had always thought family meant forgiveness, unconditional love. What had changed? Suddenly, the door swung open again, startling him. The hollow-eyed woman stood before him, glancing over her shoulder instinctively, as if she were afraid of what might be lurking behind her. "You should leave," she said with urgency, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know what you're walking into." His breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean?" "I am not here to cause trouble. I just want to see my daughter." She sighed, biting her lip as if grappling with an inner turmoil. "She's going through something you're not aware of. It's better if you just know." He interjected, a fire igniting within him. "I'm not leaving until I talk to her. I drove 10 hours for this." Behind the woman, shadows danced through the hallway of the house. A flicker of fear crossed her face, and in that moment, he realized there was more at stake than just his reunion with his daughter. He felt it, the tension crackling in the air, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy like storm clouds overhead. "Please just tell me what's happening." Before she could answer, a soft voice echoed from inside the house, barely discernible, "Mom, let him in." The woman's posture relaxed, but the apprehension remained. It was then that Michael saw his daughter directly, for the first time in years, standing in the shadows, her body language tight, defensive. She looked older, more burdened, and for a moment, a flicker of recognition flashed through his heart. "Dad," her voice quivered, battling conflict and vulnerability within her gaze. "Why did you say I wasn't invited?" Michael stepped over the threshold, his desperation clear. He had fought for this moment, and yet it felt like he was intruding upon a sacred secret. As the door closed behind him with a dull thud, he noted the dim lighting and the cluttered living room, signs of neglect mixed with remnants of warmth. But something was amiss. He could feel it creeping into the fibers of the air. The house itself whispered its own warnings. "Let us talk," his daughter urged, her eyes darting to the woman who had led him inside. Just then, a loud crash shattered the fragile silence, a familiar sound echoing from elsewhere in the house. Michael's heart stammered in his chest. What was that? Panic flared in the woman's eyes, and he had no idea how his daughter intended to respond. But in that moment, he knew the danger was greater than any resentment held between them. He took a step forward, determination sharpened with each heartbeat. What truth lay hidden within these walls, and would he be able to face it both for his daughter and himself? As they moved deeper into the house, shadows seemed to swirl around them like a dark cloud, threatening to consume everything. What had they walked into? The answer lay just around the next corner, and his heart raced at the thought. Would he be ready for whatever awaited them? The world around them faded into a low hum as they stepped into the dimly lit hallway. Michael's pulse quickened, not just from adrenaline, but from a primal sense of danger. Each creak of the floorboards echoed like a warning, whispering of secrets locked behind the walls. "Stay close," his daughter urged, taking his hand. Her grip was shaky, and for a brief moment, he felt the warmth he had missed so desperately over the years. Yet beneath that warmth lay a cold dread that he couldn't ignore. "What's going on?" Michael's voice trembled as it fought to break through the thick fog of confusion. "Is this about Mom? What's happening here?" She didn't respond, only darted her eyes towards the source of the crash that still reverberated in his ears. A heavy thud followed, and Michael turned fully toward it, instinctively shifting his weight back, ready to brace himself for whatever might emerge. Suddenly, a man's voice erupted from a room at the end of the hall, sharp and full of anger. "Get away from that. You don't know what you're doing." His heart dropped. Michael wasn't prepared for confrontation, not here, not now. Who was that? What was going on in this house? Let's go, his daughter whispered urgently, pulling him away from the sound. She looked terrified, her face pale, as if she were harboring a dark secret. The woman who had welcomed him in stood frozen against the wall, her eyes wide in shock, yet filled with an unspeakable sorrow. Stop! The woman's voice broke into his thoughts. Don't go in there. You don't understand. But the door swung open before he could respond, revealing a tall figure shrouded in shadow, his gaze harsh and piercing. The man's shirt was wrinkled, and beads of sweat lined his forehead. What are you doing bringing him here? He growled, stepping into the light, revealing a face etched with worry and frustration. Who are you? Michael blurted, instinctively positioning himself between his daughter and the stranger. The man took a step closer, fists tightening at his sides. I'm the one trying to protect her. You don't belong here. You have no idea what's going on, what she's dealing with. Enough. His daughter's voice was firm now, a strange defiance shining through her fear. Dad deserves to know. It's his right. A battle played out in her eyes, a mix of fear and determination, as she faced the man, who Michael now recognized as someone she was involved with. The realization sent icy tendrils of anxiety gripping his gut. Tell me what is happening. Michael demanded, almost desperate. I drove 10 hours because I care. The stranger stepped back, his posture softening slightly. Caring isn't enough, he said, his voice lowering a notch. This isn't just family drama, it's much more serious than that. Michael felt the walls closing in, pressure building in his chest. The weight of unsaid words hung thick in the air. What do you mean? But before the man could reply, another noise erupted from inside one of the rooms. A loud crash followed by a muffled scream sent shockwaves through the very core of Michael's being. Dad, we need to get out of here. His daughter exclaimed, her eyes wide with terror as she grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the exit. No. I need answers. He felt the intensity of the situation twist his gut. Time seemed to stretch as they stood there, caught in this web of confusion and fear. Would he choose to escape or uncover the chilling truth hiding within these walls? Michael. The woman's voice broke through, urgent and pleading. If you go in there, you'll regret it. Trust me. The shadows seemed to close in as the tension escalated. His instincts screamed for him to protect his daughter, but was running away truly the answer? The moment hung heavy, threatening to unravel everything he thought he knew, what lay beyond that door, and was he brave enough to confront it? His heart raced as he weighed his options. Whatever came next, one undeniable truth loomed larger than the rest. He couldn't turn back. What choice would he make in the face of chaos? Whatever it was, it would change everything. Michael's heart thundered as the cacophony of screams and crashes swirled behind the heavy door. He felt every nerve in his body on high alert, a jagged edge of fear slicing through the uncertainty. This was far from a simple family reunion. This was a ticking time bomb, just waiting to explode. Dad. His daughter tugged at him again, panic rising in her voice. We have to leave. Now? His instincts screamed that she was right, but something deep inside urged him to stand firm. If we leave now, I might never find out what's really happening here, he murmured, uncertainty flooding his thoughts. Trust me. She implored, desperation coding her words. You don't understand what's at stake. Behind them, the man's eyes grew dark as he stepped forward, his voice low and threatening. You think you want answers? You have no idea what you'll unleash if you open that door. Michael's gaze flickered between the man and his daughter. The clutches of dread tightened around his chest. The walls felt like they were closing in, almost suffocating him with the weight of tremors of truth he was scared to unwrap. "Get behind me," he said finally, steeling himself. Before he could second-guess, he pushed the door open, heart racing as the hinges creaked like a warning siren. The chaos inside was even worse than imagined. Things lay scattered across the room, papers torn and flung, broken furniture, and a shattered mirror reflecting the intensity of the moment. At the center, a figure writhed on the floor, a woman, her eyes wide, radiating panic, as she pointed shakily at something behind a desk. "Please don't let it get me," she cried out, voice cracking with terror. Michael stared in disbelief. It couldn't be true. This wasn't happening. Not here, not now. "What are you talking about?" he yelled, yet his voice trembled, betraying his unease. The tall figure stepped into the room, his demeanor shifting from anger to something gravely serious. "The darkness is here, Michael. Not just a metaphorical darkness, but something real and malevolent." The chilling atmosphere frosted over him. "What do you mean by darkness?" His voice wavered. "What are you all hiding? Enough. You have to leave, all of you." The woman on the floor pleaded desperately, tilting her head in a way that looked as if she were listening for something. "It wants us, it wants you." The threat was palpable in the air, like a weight pressing down, drawing him into its suffocating embrace. He felt the ground tremble beneath him, threatening to pull him into an abyss he didn't believe existed. "Dad!" his daughter screamed, pulling him back, but he was rooted to the spot, his eyes locked on the woman's fingers, now trembling as they pointed towards a dark corner of the room. Was something lurking there? Michael's heart raced as dread ballooned in his chest. An eerie silence followed, vibrating with an unspeakable tension. "I'm not going anywhere," he whispered, fighting against the panic rising in waves. "Not yet." But even as he stood there, his mind spinning with confusion and fear, he felt the low rumble of something sinister beyond comprehension. The air crackled like static before a storm, the woman's words echoed in his mind. "The darkness wants you." In that pregnant pause, a shadow began to creep from that dark corner, silently stretching towards him, like a hand reaching out from the void. "Michael!" His daughter's gasp pulled him away from the depths of dread. "We have to go. It's coming." With every ounce of urgency, they stumbled back, but Michael couldn't shake the feeling that answers were slipping away with every step away from the spreading darkness. What was this thing? What had he stepped into? And as the shadows danced ever closer, he understood one undeniable truth. He was caught in something far bigger than himself, something that demanded to be unveiled. Would he risk everything for the truth? The shadow twisted like a living thing, inching closer, a sinister promise lingering in the air. Michael felt it pull on him, a dark force, something so inexplicable and foul that it nullified all rational thought. He clenched his fists, trying to dispel the icy grip around his heart. The urgency in his daughter's voice pulled him momentarily away from the suffocating dread. "Dad, please," she begged, terror sparking in her eyes. With a surge of adrenaline, he grabbed her wrist, feeling the warmth of her skin against the chill of the looming darkness. "We can't run. I need to know what is happening. What is this darkness?" "Stop!" the woman screamed, her voice echoing in the room like a frantic alarm. "You don't understand. It's drawn to curiosity. It will feed off your need to seek answers." But there was a madness in Michael's chest, a reckless urge to confront fear head-on. He took a cautious step forward, drawn by some primal instinct. The air thickened, sizzling, and then suddenly, the shadow lunged, shifting from a creeping thing to a wave of black vapor that spiraled even faster towards him. He recoiled, whispering a silent prayer that this was an illusion. The menacing darkness whispered back to him, a sound like the rustle of dead leaves, soft and sinister, as if it were mocking his attempts to resist. "Michael, don't!" his daughter shouted just as the thick tendril coiled around his ankle, petrifying him in place. The very floor beneath felt like it was trying to swallow him whole, but he couldn't let terror render him paralyzed. He looked back at his daughter, and in her pleading gaze, he suddenly saw something flicker. Was it fear? Sorrow? Or helplessness? The stark realization hit hard. What if she was right? What if this entity knew him, knew all of them? He tore his focus back to the room. The tall man with the dark eyes stood rooted, a statuesque sentinel, and for a brief moment, suspicion twisted in Michael's mind. "What do you know?" he barked, his voice rising above the din of its whispers. "It's a family curse," the man said, his words laced with anguish. "Passed down through generations. It wants to collect on your lineage. You believe in legacy, don't you, Michael? Then you should know this dark fate thrives on kinship." Heavy dread gripped Michael's heart. "A curse?" "Yes. It's awakened. You sought your family. You brought it back." The man stepped forward, urgency radiating from him. "You must run, or you'll lead us all to doom." Before Michael could respond, the room erupted with a bone-chilling scream. The woman on the floor twisted, face contorted as if she were wrestling with invisible chains. "It's here. It's breaking through." The shadow lunged, filled with swirling tendrils as if clawing for flesh. Michael felt the tug intensify, pulling him further down, deeper into the clutches of an unimaginable abyss. He could see shapes within the void, twisted faces of relatives long gone, whispering forgotten tales of despair and regret. His daughter screamed again, but it was louder this time, pushing him to act, each note vibrating with raw panic. "Run, Dad!" she cried, forcing him to refocus on her. "I'll hold it back. Just go." "No!" Michael shouted, desperation clawing at him. "Not without you." But the room began to fracture, walls quaking, shadows swirling, and reality felt seconds from collapse. Would he forsake the very essence that kept him tethered to the ground, or would he gamble everything to save them both from this cursed inheritance? In that moment of chaos, he made a choice. But as he reached for his daughter, the darkness whispered again, its voice slithering into the crevices of his mind, "You can't escape your fate, not this time." And as the shadows roared and the world around them began to splinter, Michael had to ask himself, would the truth still be worth the price? The moment of decision was upon them, but the storm outside surged too. What lay ahead was unknown, and in that uncertainty, he caught one last gaze from the woman on the floor. "Choose wisely before it's too late." A decision lingered in the air, heavy and vital, as they faced the dark tide together. Would they rise in defiance, or would they surrender to the looming shadows? Time was running out. The world shattered around him, pieces spiraling like shards of glass. Michael's heart raced as the room quaked, merging panic and despair within an unbearable grasp. He could still hear his daughter's voice piercing through the terror, its frequencies tugged at him. "Don't let it take me." The words bounced off the walls, choking him as he fought against the pull of the shadow. The darkness twisted, pinching tighter around his ankle, clamping down like a vice. He felt a hot rush of desperation drown out reason. "Hold on, sweetheart," he shouted back. But the shadow was relentless, coiling upward, creeping higher toward his thighs. The tall man with dark eyes suddenly surged forward, arms outstretched as if trying to reach them. "You have to listen." His voice was a blend of fear and urgency. "It doesn't just dwell in shadows. It seeks to consume the ones you love most." Stay connected, don't sever that bond. You don't understand. Michael shouted, feeling the warmth of his daughter slipping through his fingers. No. You don't understand. It's here because you wanted to uncover your roots. You invited this darkness. Every word hit like a blow, but there was no time to unravel the truth of it. The shadows writhed, taking shape with grotesque faces that filled with anguish and despair. Their mouths moved soundlessly, cries of forgotten pain flooding into Michael's mind. He stumbled forward, desperation morphing into resolve. I'm not leaving my daughter. The tendril tightened around his ankle, colder than ice. He dug his fingernails into the ground, straining against its grip, heart pounding like a war drum. Take her place. The woman on the floor cried, her voice a haunting plead. It'll take one of you, it always does. It was nightmarish logic, splintering as he tried to comprehend it. Michael's chest tightened. Was it really true? The notion spun through his mind: sacrifice, family, the weight of legacy. No one should have to bear this. Disbelief burned in his eyes, but he knew in his gut what needed to be done. No. His daughter's scream shattered the tension, an anguished cry that seemed to claw at the very walls around them. The shadows pulsed in the air, feeding on the fear, ready to strike. Stay together. Don't give in. The man's desperate voice rang through the chaos, but a hollow ache consumed Michael's throat. Whatever this dark force was, it thrived on their dread, and it wouldn't stop until they were separated. Michael locked eyes with his daughter, her expression a mirror of despair, but filtered through fierce determination. He felt it, the tether of blood and love binding them together. We'll face it. Together. In that heart-stopping moment, Michael lunged forward, yanking his daughter toward him. The shadows ripped at her, trying to pull her away. Through the swirling dark, he felt a rush of warmth between them, their fingers locked. Michael could sense a ripple in the air as the shadow hesitated, as if confused by their defiance. Now? The tall man screamed. While it's wavering. With all his strength, Michael yanked, dragging them both forward, towards the heart of the chaos. The darkness shrieked, a tumultuous pitch that rattled his bones. Then, just as they broke through the suffocating veil, a blinding light erupted from inside the shadow, illuminating their faces. The dark grew more substantial, yanking back, feeling its hold weaken. Faces from the past began to dissolve alongside it, vanishing like smoke caught in a breeze. But even as freedom beckoned, Michael heard the chilling whispers return. You've made your choice and it will cost you dearly. The light radiated one last time as they stumbled out, free, but the chilling weight of the curse loomed heavy in the air. Behind them, the darkness roared in fury, a sound that echoed through the cracks of the room. Michael turned, heartbeat hammering, knowing this was only the beginning. He realized the shadow might have receded, but the curse wasn't done with them yet. What fresh horrors awaited them now? The moment they emerged from the darkness, a heavy silence enveloped them, pressing against Michael's chest like a weight he couldn't shake. The familiar scent of six-day-old coffee and stale air filled his lungs, but somehow, everything felt wrong. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows across the room, reminding him of the very darkness they had just escaped. He turned to his daughter, breathless and filled with dread. Are you okay? She nodded, but her eyes reflected something deeper: fear, uncertainty, maybe even a hint of regret. What if it comes back? She whispered, the tremble in her voice twisting the knife in his gut. Michael's mind raced. He had fought for her, but the words of the shadow haunted him. There was a cost, and he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever they had done to break free could soon unravel. We need to find a way to protect ourselves, he said. Together, they stepped further into the room they had once presumed was safe. The tall man stood near the wall, his form still imposing yet softened by the fading light. "What you fought against was merely a part of what lies beneath," he said, his voice steady but warning. "The true darkness lingers and it pities no one." Michael's stomach turned. "What do you mean?" "We escaped. Isn't that enough?" "No," the man replied, his eyes piercing into Michael's. "This was just the opening act. The curse you unleashed will return with a vengeance. It will gnaw at your connection until the bond frays to nothing." "What bond?" The words slipped out, raw and desperate. "Your love for one another. It's your strength, but also your weakness. It craves the price of that connection." A cold realization washed over Michael, sending chills down his spine. They had survived the first wave, but it seemed the battle was far from over. "So what now?" he asked, feeling the walls close in around him with every word. "What do we do to stop it?" The tall man's face took on a mournful expression. "You must uncover the truth of your lineage. Only then can you confront the shadow in its heart, and perhaps break the cycle." "What truth?" Michael's mind reeled, images of his childhood flickering through his thoughts. "I don't know anything about my family's past." "Then," he said with finality, "you must dig deep, beyond what you see, for the answers lie entangled in the roots of your bloodline. But be forewarned, what you discover may unearth more than you bargained for." His daughter shuddered, pulling closer to Michael. "I don't want to know. I just want to be safe." "We are in no position to choose comfort over clarity," Michael replied, clenching his jaw. The choice loomed in the air, knowing the past could bring relief or fresh terror. They studied the man, searching for hope buried under layers of desperation. "Can you help us?" he ventured cautiously. The tall man hesitated, casting a long glance at the shadows that still lingered in the corners, whispering their silent threats. "Yes, but only if you are ready to confront every dark truth that lies ahead. Then we'll do it. We'll face whatever is out there," Michael vowed, his determination igniting. But even as he spoke, the lights flickered ominously, and a bone-chilling breeze swept through the room. A distant wailing echoed from somewhere far beyond their walls, the haunting sound of what was still waiting to reclaim them. His daughter clutched her father's arm, eyes wide with panic. "Dad, what if it means losing one of us?" The darkness at the edges of the room stirred, as though waiting for their answer, ready to pounce at the slightest hint of weakness. What unspeakable truths lay ahead, and would they be strong enough, or willing to confront them? Michael's pulse quickened, each beat echoing the fear that surged through the room. "We can't think like that," he muttered, forcing himself to focus. If they were going to face whatever horrors awaited them, they had to stay strong. "We will uncover the truth together. No one is getting lost again." The tall man shifted slightly, the shadows lengthening as the temperature in the room dropped. "Then you must set out immediately. The past is waiting to tell its tale, and it won't wait for your readiness." "Where do we start?" It was a desperate question, one that hinted at a father's need to protect his daughter from whatever lay ahead. "Seek out the oldest living family member. There, in their memories, lie the answers you seek," he instructed, his voice grave. "But beware, nostalgia can be a treacherous guide." Michael nodded, determination mixing with dread. They had to visit his estranged Aunt Lydia, the only relative who might still know the whispers of their family's past. "We'll go tonight," he said, a spark of defiance igniting within him. The man seemed to weigh Michael's resolve before responding. "Very well. But once you step out of this haven, the curse will draw closer. It will feed on your every emotion, every doubt and fear." As if on cue, a low rumble of thunder growled from outside, reverberating through the dilapidated building. It felt like the world was echoing their anxiety. Let us go, Michael said, taking his daughter's hand, both of them feeling that the evening's shadows had claimed their peace. They stepped outside into the fading light, the air thick and charged, whispering secrets he couldn't yet understand. The streets loomed before them like long-forgotten memories ready to resurface. With each step, the wind seemed to howl, carrying something sinister with it. Anna pressed closer to her father, her apprehension palpable. "What if Aunt Lydia doesn't want to talk?" she whimpered. "Then we make her," he asserted, his voice steadier than he felt. The stakes were too high for indecision. He couldn't let their past choices threaten their future. They made their way through the deserted streets, shadows seeming to bend around them. Michael glanced back, half expecting to see something lurking, something waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He took a deep breath. "Keep close." But the atmosphere thickened, and it wasn't just the encroaching night. It was the weight of ancestral secrets hanging above them, casting an invisible net of dread. Just then, a loud crash resounded from an alley, causing them both to jump. "What was that?" Anna asked, her voice trembling. "Just the wind," Michael lied, although his heart raced. He felt it a horrible certainty that the darkness was indeed hunting them, prowling closer with malicious intent. They hurried their pace, dread mounting with every step. With Aunt Lydia's house finally in sight, Michael's mind spun with possibilities. What kind of truths awaited them inside? Would they find answers worth the risk? Or would they unearth something that could tear them apart forever? A sudden stillness surrounded them as they approached the door. The air grew heavy, breath caught in his throat. He knocked, each rap echoing like a countdown. No answer. "Maybe she's not home," Anna whispered, glancing back at the shadows, which seemed to creep closer still, but he wouldn't let fear dictate their fate. "One more time," he insisted, knocking louder. They needed answers. The alternative was not an option. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room. Aunt Lydia stood there, face shadowed but unmistakably drawn, as if she'd just seen a ghost or something worse. You shouldn't have come here," she muttered, her voice a tremble of fear and warning. Michael's heart sank, the words hanging in the air like a death knell. What could her presence signify? What terrible truth awaited them now? "Why?" he asked, voice shaking with urgency. "What's going on?" But as the answer hung on her lips, the shadows behind her stirred, as if eager to swallow them whole. What unspeakable nightmare awaited them within those walls, and would there be any way out? Aunt Lydia's eyes widened as she peered deeper into the twilight, her breath hitching in her throat. The shadows behind her pulsed, shape-shifting like dark smoke, subtly twisting to form indistinct shapes. "You shouldn't have come here," she repeated, as if she were caught between two worlds, hers and the pit of darkness that threatened to spill over. Michael felt Anna cling tighter to his side, her small hand trembling. "We need to know what you're hiding," he pressed, his voice stronger than the fear gnawing at him. "Please, we're running out of time." "You are searching for answers that should remain buried," Aunt Lydia warned, stepping back, as if the shadows were suffocating her. "The past is not a friend, Michael. It has teeth, and it is hungry." The air grew colder as silence enveloped them, stretching between heartbeats. Michael stepped forward, the threshold between past and present looming ominously before them. "We can't run from this," he said fiercely. "Whatever it is, we face it together." But Lydia shook her head, her features now wholly obscured by night. "Together, or apart, it changes nothing. You must leave. This place is cursed." Anna looked up at him, eyes wide with a mix of fear and determination. "We can't turn back now, can we, Dad?" The weight of her gaze pierced through Michael's resolve. "No. We can't," he affirmed, and for a moment, he felt a flicker of hope. Then, without warning, a harsh wind slammed the door wide open, sending a gust of stale, cold air through the room. The shadows surged forward, almost alive, as if agitated by their defiance. What the Michael barely had time to shout before Aunt Lydia staggered back, knocking over a table. A cloud of dust erupted, blinding them momentarily. When the haze cleared, the room transformed. Old photographs adorned the walls, faces long gone, their eyes seeming to follow Michael and Anna. They were lurking in the shadows, a gallery of history steeped in tragedy that rested upon the very air they breathed. "Do you see them?" Aunt Lydia's voice trembled, her finger pointing toward a faded picture of a family gathering that emanated an undeniable chill. "They watched as the darkness fell upon us. They are part of it." Michael stepped closer, squinting to see the details. His grandmother appeared youthful and radiant, next to Lydia, who seemed just as she was now, but without the fear etched across her features. "What happened?" he gasped. Suddenly, a shadow detached from the wall, surging toward them, a grotesque shape that twisted and writhed as if pained. "Run!" Lydia screamed, pushing Anna and Michael backward, shielding them with her frail body. In that moment, the room descended into chaos. The once familiar surroundings warped, the air crackled with an overpowering dread. The photographs screamed in silence, their faces elongating, twisting in agony. "Let it go, Michael!" Lydia shouted, but the weight of the truth was too heavy to ignore. The shadows closed in, hungry for the demons of the past. Michael's heart raced. He gripped Anna tighter, trying to shield her from the horrors erupting around them. "What do we do?" Lydia gasped, as if finally understanding the choice they faced. "You must unearth the truth. Reveal it. Only then can you break the cycle." But doubt clawed at Michael's mind as the grotesque shadows inched closer. Was uncovering the darkness worth the risk? The shadows twisted like living nightmares, reaching for them. "Michael!" Anna cried, her voice pierced like glass through the cacophony. Then it struck him, what if the truth wasn't meant to be gotten so easily? What if revealing it meant unleashing something they couldn't control? The question echoed fiercely in his mind, battling against the urgency to escape. As he glanced back at his aunt, fear and desperation swirled in her eyes. He knew this moment could change everything. The chaos grew unbearably loud, pressing against them like a weight. "We're running out of time," Michael shouted, tightening his grip on Anna's hand. "Will you risk it?" Aunt Lydia's challenge hung in the air, even as shadows lunged at them. Hungry and relentless, Michael's decision demanded clarity amid the turmoil. The past had waited long enough. But the price of that knowledge might cost them everything. What terrible revelation would they unearth if they chose to confront the past? And who, or what, would they lose in the process? Michael's heart raced, a wild drum echoing in his chest as shadows writhed around them. The dim light flickered, illuminating faces in the photographs that seemed eternally trapped, mouths open in soundless screams. "What do we do?" Anna's voice trembled, cutting through the chaos. "We face it together, however terrible it may be." Michael shot back, his voice charged with urgency. Fear gnawed at his gut, but the thought of losing Anna pushed him forward, deeper into the heart of darkness. The shadows surged, a feral hunger glinting in their shape-shifting forms. "No more running," he shouted, defiance bolstering his resolve. "I won't let this curse tear us apart." "Michael!" Aunt Lydia's voice rose above the cacophony, sharp with desperation. "You must understand, the truth may be horrifying. It can fracture not just your bond, but your very souls." But with each pulse of fear running through him, Michael's determination grew stronger. "I've already lost you. I'm not losing Anna too." With reckless abandon, he charged towards the wall, towards the photograph of his grandmother, once a warm presence in his life. The shadows clawed at him, but he pushed through the suffocating air, his instinct to uncover the truth stronger than any dread they invoked. As he reached the photograph, he felt a surge of energy flow through him, a connection to the women staring back, their pain now mirrored in his heart. "What is it you want from us?" he bellowed, and the shadows recoiled as if his declaration struck a nerve. Then, like the turning of a key, the picture rippled, unfolding the secrets it contained. Vivid memories seeped through the fabric of the image, showing his grandmother's life, her choices, and the deep-rooted struggles that enveloped their family. "Look!" Aunt Lydia gasped, as the swirling scenes began to shape a narrative. A dark figure loomed, manipulating relationships, feeding off their love and pain, planting the seeds of despair. In the shadows of their past lay the remnants of hope tormented by betrayal and unresolved grief. Anna's hand tightened around his. "Dad, what is happening?" "It's the curse," he realized, his breath hitching in sudden clarity. "It thrives on our pain and our bonds. It wants to keep us fighting each other instead of facing it together. I won't let it win," Anna declared, her courage igniting anew. "Together." In that moment, Michael understood. It wasn't just a choice about the past, it was a promise for their future. They could break the cycle of despair if they embraced the truth, no matter how painful. "We confront this together, as family," he declared, feeling the weight of generations pressing upon them. The shadows shrieked in fury, a visceral response to their defiance as they lunged toward the group. "Reveal yourselves," Michael roared, digging deep into his memories, his pain, and turning it into a weapon against the darkness. With every ounce of strength, Michael and Anna reached out to the shadows, defiance washing over them like a neon glow. As their hands clasped tighter, light erupted from within, a blinding radiance pushing back the encroaching darkness. The air pulsed, reverberating with voices from the past, ancestors crying out, pleading to be freed from the curse that bound them. "You have the power," Aunt Lydia shouted, her voice echoing with the strength of lost lineage. "Embrace it." The forces collided, darkness and light wrestling for supremacy as the shadows twisted and screamed, losing their grip on the family. Each flicker of brightness forced the shadows back, revealing faces twisted in agony, breaking free from bondage, until one final wail spiraled into the unknown. Then all at once, the room shook. The wallpaper peeled, the air became thick with a pungent scent of decay. But as their combined strength overwhelmed the darkness, something miraculous happened. It began to dissolve, each tendril evaporating into a wisp of regret before vanishing completely. They stood, breathless but together. The room simmered with a newfound lightness, the weight of the curse lifted, leaving behind a palpable quiet. Anna blinked, eyes adjusting to the serene stillness. Did we do it?" "I think we broke free," Michael whispered, relief flooding him. The photo of his grandmother glowed softly now, a reminder of both the struggle and the triumph. Aunt Lydia stepped forward, her face lined with a mixture of sorrow and pride. "You faced it, Michael. You faced what generations wanted to hide. The curse can't harm you now." But even as they celebrated, Michael felt a shiver run through him, an instinct that the journey was not yet over. "We should stay vigilant. The curse may return in different forms." Anna glanced up at him, her expression fierce. "Whatever it brings, we'll face it together." With a newfound bond forged in the fires of trial, Michael felt a flicker of hope ignite. They had confronted the darkness, and now, together, they embraced the healing of their lineage. With each step forward, they found strength in family, love, and an unshakable resilience that nothing could tear apart. Before you move on, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who must see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.